If you were a little depressed kid in the 2010s, I'm sure you've heard of this thing before. I'm talking about creepypastas. Amalgamation of internet horror mixed with depressed little kids trying to create a found family for themselves, I guess. My name is Manverna, and I will be your host tonight as we dive down in the depths of the creepypasta fandom and try to find out what made it so special, what did people do out of those horror stories, and why are they suddenly hot, quirky, and what happened? What happened? It's supposed to be scary. What is going on? Let's dive right in with chapter number 1, the one that started it all. So I want to talk about Slenderman a little bit. Who is Slenderman? Slenderman was created in 2009 by Eric Knudsen in the Something Awful forums. He was part of a Photoshop contest where Knudsen took pictures of like eerie forest little kids type black-white pictures and he photoshopped Slenderman in them. Slenderman was a tall guy, 4 meters tall, no face, white skin, always wearing a fancy suit, very cool, with tentacles on his back that he used to abduct people with and stab them with and kill them and do all kinds of things. I don't know. Some of the fan art will make you think that he did all other sorts of things with those tentacles, but I'm not getting into that. That's not what we're gonna talk about right now. Me might talk about it later. Anyways, it was a scary thing. It didn't thrive on jump scares, but on ambiguity. You know, you didn't know what he was gonna do. Why was he there? You know, always lurking in the back, always like half in the forest, like, ooh, very scary. What's happening? What's going on? You know? And people took that and were like, wow, this is amazing. Let's make this our whole personality. So out of Slenderman evolved Marble Hornets, and that just kicked off the entire world of online ARG type horror content, I think. Found footage kind of stuff. Very cool. Thanks, Slenderman, for that. One thing that also happened that was less cool was the stabbing of a little girl in 2014 by her 2 friends that were super obsessed with Slenderman and thought that if they stabbed their friend, Slenderman would come and take them and they could become his proxies or whatever. Very interesting. Yes, kids are amazing. Get kids, definitely. You should definitely get kids. Anyways, apart from that, there was also a really shitty movie in 2018. I went to the cinema to watch it and it was ass. It was really bad. I didn't expect a lot, but that was ass. Anyways, basically, the fandom took Slenderman and they were like, what if he was hot? He was a tall guy with a suit, very fancy, very gentleman-like, you know? So let's give him abs and make him do weird things with his tentacles and write fanfics with Slenderman X your OC. I don't know. I can't really understand it anymore these days, but back then that was the shit. People went crazy for that. And I mean, good for them, I guess, you know, why not? He was basically everywhere. He was in Minecraft mods, YouTube animations, AMVs, weird gacha live skits. He was everywhere. There was so much fan art, so much fan fiction. The internet loved Slenderman, and they still do until this day. You can still today find a shit ton of new Slenderman content. I don't think it will ever get old, you know? There's like a big roller coaster, you know? Slenderman gets cool again, Slenderman gets whack again, Slenderman gets cool again, whack again. You know, it's a whole thing. Thanks to Slenderman, we got other people like Jeff the Killer. Jeff the Killer's story was interesting, to say the least. It was written really shittily by a little kid. There was so many grammatical errors, and it is actually such a horrific piece of writing if you actually read the original story. But back then, people ate it up. Oh my god. Basically, Jeff was a depressed little kid who got bullied and picked on, and then his brother tried to save him, and then his brother got beat up, and then he beat up the bullies, and then the brother said, oh no, I beat up the bullies, it wasn't Jeff, so that Jeff didn't have to go to jail, and then the little brother had to go to juvie or whatever, and then suddenly there was this party, and there's the bullies again, and they put bleach over Jeff and set him on fire, and suddenly his hair is all black and his skin is all white and bleach, and he doesn't have eyelids anymore. Then he carves a smile in his face and he's like, wow, I'm so beautiful. And then he stabs his whole family, even though he was like super upset and really protective of his brother just 5 minutes ago. Then he's like, oh, go to sleep, and then he kills everybody. It's so cringe if you think about it, but back then people ate it up. They were like, oh my god, look at this hot guy. Oh my god, I can fix him. Look how hot he is. It's crazy because they took this picture, this horrific picture, and they turned it into this. How? They looked at the first picture and were like, yeah, let's make him like this. Let's make him like an emo twink, basically. And the fandom ran with it and they went wild with it. Jeff the Killer was like the most beloved of them all, in my opinion. Like, they shipped themselves with him. They made fan art. They made music videos. They made cosplays. I have to admit, I did a Jeff the Killer cosplay for Halloween once when I was 13 or 14 years old, and I thought I was the shit. I thought I looked so cool. If I can still find a picture, I will show it here, and if not, then, you know, maybe I will not show that to you guys. That's cringe as fuck. People like me ate that up back in the day. I think the reason people liked it so much was that a lot of bullied kids and a lot of like outcasts really latch onto creepypasta stories. And I mean, imagine you have this one dude that like takes revenge on his bullies and rises out of the ashes like a phoenix, whatever. And they latch onto that. They were like, oh man, I want to be like that too. I also want to like stick it back to my bullies and whatever. I guess a lot of people, yeah, they just resonated with it, I guess. They basically gave him a glow up, gave him skinny jeans, kept his iconic white hoodie, gave him messy black hair, and made him well, he was already a psycho killer, but made him a sympathetic psycho killer, because I mean, he only killed because, you know, they were bullies, they deserved it, they had it coming, you know? He would never hurt you. He would never do that. He loves you. It's very, very toxic. It's weird. It's so weird. Not gonna lie. There were so many ships, like I said. They shipped Jeff with their own OC, with Ben, who we will talk about in a moment, and all the other ones, even Slenderman and everything. There was also a female counterpart to Jeff the Killer called Jane the Killer. People were so divided as to how those people belong together, you know? They were like, oh, are they lovers? Are they enemies? You know, like opposites attract, you know, it's like basically the female version of Jeff and Jeff, you know, do they hate each other? Do they love each other? There was whole Tumblr blocks that either loved the ship or hated the ship, and people were fighting. They were in the trenches. I really want to know if anybody here was in the trenches of Tumblr back in the day when there was this big discussion about if Jane and Jeff belonged together or not. I really want to know, because it was crazy back then. It was crazy back then. Of course, you had the typical OC bios, basically, yeah, my name is Raven Blackheart. I'm 15 years old. I'm not like the other girls. They would never understand me. I'm just way too different, you know? My parents hate me, and I ran away from home, and I met Jeff, and now we're together, and we're in love, and we're gonna marry. And it was trauma core times 10. Goddammit, Tumblr was wild back then. Now that I think about it, it was so much crazier than I imagined. Jesus. And of course, Jeff took you back to the Creepypasta Mansion, but I will talk about that later. You have to wait for that. No te preocupes, I will talk about it, don't worry. I will, but later. Anyways, consider yourself an OG if you've seen Creepypasta edits with Jeff the Killer and Monster from Skillet, or Bring Me to Life from Evanescence, because you are a real one. You were there in the trenches when it all happened. I bow to you. But yeah, for now, let's move on to Ben Drowned. He was my favorite, but I was also freaking scared of him. I'm still scared of this stupid ass statue. Look at this thing. That thing is terrifying. I hate it. I can still not play Majora's Mask to this day. It's crazy. Anyways, basically, long story short, guy goes to a garage sale and he finds a cursed N64 cartridge of Majora's Mask with a dead, drowned child's, teenager's, whatever, soul trapped in it. That person starts to lose it because Ben, the drowned guy, starts to kind of fuck with him, and that's basically what happens. Cursed video game cartridge. Why not? I mean, we've heard it a lot of times until then. There's Sonic.exe, for example, and all that. You know, cursed video games. There's even like newer renditions that kind of hit the mainstream, like, for example, Doki Doki Literature Club. Of course, it's not a creepypasta, but it's the concept of a cursed game and everything. Very cool. I mean, I like it. I think it's nice. I like the fourth wall breaking. But back then, it was new, it was fresh, it was crazy. People went crazy for Ben because he was kind of like an emo little hacker dude. He had blonde, fluffy hair, neon green eyes, and he was basically just like a basement dweller in all of the fan fictions, you know, like hacker guy, basement dweller, gamer, you know, with his cool ass headphones and all, you know, listening to musica, being all alone and brooding. He only had a soft spot for you, of course. You were his little sugar pie. Oh my god, you're so special. Everybody loves you. Everybody loves you. All the creepypasta characters want to date you so badly. You are the hottest. Ben Drowned, all in all together, was a multimedia experience. You had the first game, you had videos accompanying it, internet pages that were working like archives and everything for the whole story. It was really, really great back then. It was a whole experience. I loved it and I was scared at the same time. But in the fanfictions, he was a tech genius with glitch powers and hot, haunted, and online. They shipped him a lot with Jeff for some reason. I don't know why, but that was the most often seen ship for some reason. Apart from that, there was also, of course, the self-insert ships with Ben and yourself. A lone hacker girl, you know, not like the other girls. It was basically always like this, oh, I'm not like the other girls thing, which basically is just, I want to know what happened to those girls. I think half of those girls just turned out to be like lesbians in denial. How you do, fellow gays? I hope you're out of the closet. In the fanfictions, Ben was sometimes yandere, sometimes he simped for you, and sometimes he was just a little flirty gamer boy that wanted to be left alone. Just all in all, it was 2011 culture in one person. It was this whole random XD, chronically online culture as a creepy little psycho killer in a basement that hacks and listens to Skrillex. That's basically what it was. But there was more people, of course. For example, there was one that I don't have particularly big opinions on. I'm talking about Eyeless Jack, which is an interesting story because there's not much of a story, it's more of a concept. This dude here, which I can't take serious because this picture looks so yee ass. Look at those big ass eyes. Like, well, it's not eyes, it's holes where the eyes are supposed to be, but it's kind of, it's cringe, it's so funny. Basically, he is a gone mad creature surgeon thingy that slits you open in the middle of the night and takes your kidneys, which I think is also just like perfect encapsulation of this whole LMAO XD woo kind of thing. Like, oh my god, so random, you know, look at this creepy guy, he takes your kidneys, oh my god, you know, people love this guy. The story was basically very short. You wake up, you see him, you scream, he takes your shit, he leaves, just like your ex-girlfriend did. He takes your kidneys, just like your ex-girlfriend did, and then he's gone. But because of his short story, there was so many things that fans could play with, you know? They filled in the blanks and made him like a mad surgeon, scientist dude that is just stealing kidneys to like help other people or because he has to or something, you know? They tried to make him a good guy, basically. The ships were often, for example, Jeff the Killer x Jack, because both were like knife-wielding dudes, and so it was like the fanfictions had a lot of like knife play involved, which, if that's your thing, go off, I guess. Or, for example, Jack x Ben, and it was like cannibal meets chronically online hacker ghost. Also interesting shit. But basically, all in all, he didn't want to hurt you, he had to. And while he cut you open and took your shit, he apologized and cuddled you while you were bleeding out. Very cute. That's the peak of romance. What else do you want? Other fandom headcanons were that he listens to classical music while he takes his victims apart, or he has a soft spot for cats, actually. He's also a neat freak, so he freaks out whenever somebody goes to his surgical tools, and he journals after every surgery like some weird Victorian vampire. Or sometimes he just sits in the corner in his emo. Go fix him now, girly. That's your chance. And if I see another POV meme with Eyeless Jack takes your kidneys and lets you live after surgery because he thinks you're cute, I will explode. Stop doing that. Basically, the fandom took a faceless, creepy surgeon and turned him into a hoodie-wearing dark doctor with a heart, that's most likely not his, of gold. In my opinion, very big red flag stuff, but oh well, you know, whatever floats your boat, I guess. For some reason, there were a lot of Jacks in the fandom. So we had Eyeless Jack now, but there was also Lothing Jack. I don't know why there were so many Jacks, I don't know, I didn't make the names, I just got here. Clowns are already creepy, but Jack was a creepy clown with trauma. He was an imaginary friend gone wrong, from giving candy to gutting families with rusty spoons. Not very fun. The story plays with corrupted innocence and kind of like a child's trust betrayed. It's pretty dark, honestly. That one was actually a little dark. I didn't like that one too much, not gonna lie. He was born from a child's imagination, but then went from rainbows to slaughter really fast. He was basically already made while the creepypasta fandom was kind of on a high. So of course, it was made from somebody from the fandom fandom that really liked the whole, oh, traumatic backstories and sad and misunderstood and everything and traumatized. So yeah, they made him sad and traumatized and misunderstood. He looked like this before. I mean, that's already like Tumblr sexy man core, but they changed him. They gave him black and white striped hair and some renditions, piercings, and a stitched up smile. Victorian ringleader kind of outfit, you know, they kept the circus core, very nice. He had long, sharp fingers. Honestly, I really liked the art. I thought the art was really cool, but yeah, I don't know. It felt less organic than the other stories because it was already made to be a kind of like Tumblr sexy man creepypasta, and you can feel that in the story. The vibe was basically he listens to My Chemical Romance, he lives in your closet, he cries after he commits mass homicide, and goes to Hot Topic. Some fanfiction classics were, oh, everybody's scared of him, but you're not, and he doesn't want to kill you because you also have trauma, and you guys can bond over your trauma, and you're the only one that can make him laugh again. How cute, how sweet. Some random XD Tumblr things that people did was, oh, he only eats sugary things, and he makes balloon animals out of intestines, and he laughs when he's sad, and he's always sad, so he always laughs. That's why he's called Lothing Jack, and ooh, so traumatized, go cry about it, wah, wah, wah. You gotta respect the vibe though. I really like the dark circus kind of theme and everything, and the fan art was nice, so I mean, go ahead. One last person I want to talk about is Ticky Toby. He had goggles, a hatchet, and Tourette's. He was a weird Tumblr soft boy that could not feel pain, had severe trauma, and was a pyromaniac. And of course, there was the child abuse and murder combo. Honestly, on the first view, he kind of seems like my good friend Leonard. Shout out to you. He was Slenderman's #1 proxy and basically did all his dirty work for him. He lived in the woods with Slenderman and with 2 other proxies. The other ones were called Masky and Hoodie, which is really truly inspiring names. Wow, Ticky Toby was kind of like the most well-rounded of those characters. Toby was basically a twitchy, stuttery teen, constantly convulsing, laughing in the worst situations, really awkward, really just like very Tumblr XD core. And one day he just snapped and chopped up his abusive dad and then ran into the forest to live with Slenderman. Lighthearted stuff, you know, family friendly. We love it. And as soon as his story hit the internet, people were like, oh my god, so tragic, so beautiful, so fixable. And they were like, welcome, Ticky Toby. We can fix you. Join us, date us, love us. Go to therapy, guys, please. Oh my lord. They turned him into a soft-spoken, kind of misunderstood, edgy kid who listens to Linkin Park in the rainy forest. He was a neurodivergent icon with tics, trauma, flashbacks, and a little bit of autism. Out of the 3, he was the proxy that didn't want to kill but did it to survive. He was the one who would flinch if you touched his shoulder and then blush if you held his hand. Very cute. Very soft boy. We love that. Toby was less of a killer and more of a protector, you know. He basically snatched you up while you were running away from your abusive family to take you to the Creepypasta Mansion to live there with them and everything. So he was honestly just one of the most wholesome ones. I can understand why people latched onto him so much, you know. If you were a depressed teen with a home life, I guess you were just waiting for someone to come and save you from there and take you away and just wanted some love and whatever. Can't relate. Basically, what I'm trying to say is the creepypasta fandom was crazy. It was gigantic. There was so much. There was fan art, AMVs, Tumblrs, roleplay blogs, everything. Everything was full. You weren't a kid on the internet if you didn't know about creepypastas, you know, and they hold on to this day. So, because there were so many creepypastas, of course there had to be one place where they could all meet together. Nobody was ever just fan of one creepypasta, of course, so entering the Creepypasta Mansion. It was a mansion in the forest, basically owned by Slenderman, where all the creepypasta characters lived. More or less in harmony, I guess. I don't know. There was a lot of conflict. They were all basically troubled, edgy, XD, lol, random teens with different personality traits, lots of trauma, and knives living together. So people made a lot of blogs and fan art and everything with them living together and being all quirky, and everybody kind of had their role, you know? It was kind of funny. You had horror monsters doing dishes, fighting over snacks and asking what the Netflix password was again. And occasionally, they just butchered people and buried them in their backyard. Fun, normal roommate stuff. So of course, all the people that I just talked about lived there. There was 2 more that I didn't talk about. There was also Smile Dog, which is a demon dog. That was their demon dog in all of the fan arts and fan fictions. And there was Sally, which is the ghost of a little girl that got killed. And she was kind of like always the small sister of them all. It was very wholesome, you know, it was really cute. She was usually best friends with Lothing Jack, who kind of like always protected her and all that. It was very cute, it was really wholesome actually. Surprisingly enough, it was really wholesome. A day at the mansion kind of looked like this. Jeff slept till 3 p.m, started a random knife fight, was banned from the kitchen after making cereal flambe. He had beef with Eyeless Jack, was rivals with Ben, and definitely burned Toby's hoodie once. Everybody was really annoyed at him, but everybody was also really scared of him, so he got the last Pop-Tart. Ben was the one living in the basement, surrounded by old tech. Spoke in binary when he was annoyed, wanted to be left alone, listened to music all day and was coding and hacking things for fun, you know. He fought with Jeff constantly and he thought he was the smartest and always right, which he usually was. Toby was the only one that cared about the chores. He basically had to do everybody's dirty work because nobody would do it otherwise, and he was just way too nice to say no. So he kind of cleaned after everybody and tried to resolve conflicts between the other characters. Very wholesome. He was basically part of the wholesome triangle of Sally and Lothing Jack and went on the roof to dissociate with sad music when it was raining. Everybody treated him like a moody little brother. That was kind of his thing. Slenderman was the CEO and dad of the household. He was kind of like overseeing everybody. Never really interfered, but was always judging from the distance, being annoyed or disappointed or just watching everything like a standby father. Everybody feared him still because he was the big boss, and if he got mad, everybody stopped. So he did have everything under control in the end. Lothing Jack ate candy for dinner, played loud circus music at 3 a.m, hang out with Sally, doing little cute tea parties, and had a lot of beef with Jeff. And of course, Eyeless Jack was also in the basement, shared it with Ben. They had different spaces though, cause Ben was too untidy for Jack, who wanted to keep everything as sterile and clean as possible for his surgical things. So nobody was allowed to enter his room. He slept in a meat locker, made special meals, don't ask about that, tried to feed everybody organs for dinner. Since Lothing Jack was also kind of a surgeon himself, both of the Jacks had a little bit of a beef about who's a real surgeon and everything. Occasionally he also patched people up, mainly when they didn't need it. And without asking. The whole thing just had big roommate energy, you know? Ben and Toby fought over headphones and had kind of like annoying brothers energy. Jeff and Jack constantly had big tension between them and started knife fighting out of the blue. Sally and Jack terrorized the apartment with blood and glitter, while having Toby join for tea parties in between. Ben and Jeff just always took the whole house apart fighting, and Slenderman was lurking in the shadows being like, I did not sign up to raise those psychos. I think people just really like the whole found family trope, you know? Having this place that they could go and make little stories to escape their own daily lives. I think all in all, even though it was a little bit of a weird thing to latch onto, it was a healthy coping mechanism for a lot of lonely teens, and there was a lot of good connections and friends that you could make in the creepypasta fandom and community, and I think it was great for that. Of course, there was also lots of gatekeeping and shipping wars and bullying if people didn't agree with your ship or with your opinions, but I mean, every big fandom has that, so I don't want to blame the creepypasta fandom for that, because I think that's kind of stupid to do that. But anyways, the creepypasta fandom kind of died down ever since 2017. There are still, of course, new fans, but you will never be able to recreate the hype and the chokehold that this fandom had on people back in the day, and this art style will forever be iconic, and I will never be able to not connect it to creepypastas. So the horror lives on with the new generation and TikTok and YouTube and AMVs and everything, you know? You will not be able to get rid of creepypastas, and I hope you guys had a good time going down the memory lane again and revisiting all those creepypastas you might have heard of or not heard of before. Thank you so much for watching. Feel free to follow me. I do YouTube, I do Twitch, I have an Instagram. It would be amazing to see you guys there. Thank you guys for watching. Feel free to follow and like the video and share it to your friends. Let me know what your connection was with creepypastas, because I would love to hear what kind of connection you have. Tell me your stories, tell me anything. I would love to read it. I read all my comments, I reply to all my comments. Hope to see you there. Anyways guys, I love you and peace out. Bye bye!